Welcome to the Daily Views on September 18th in 2021. Let's start in Portsmouth in the United Kingdom. With 120 hours in a row in the Dixi toilet, 4 Brits want to collect donations for a charity. It's tough, said Ian Bailey from Liverpool on Thursday to the PA news agency after the first night. And he said, "During the day it's not so bad when people talk to us, but at night there is no space, it's uncomfortable and you can be happy about 2 hours of sleep." Bailey and his former comrades Mike Hewlett, Gary Spragues and Chris Nichols have to hold out until this Sunday at 5 p.m. CET. The loos are new so they don't smell, Hewlett said. The former soldiers have set up the portable toilets, one for each, in Portsmouth in southern England, with a view to the Solent Strait. Sprague said the Forgotten Veterans UK charity saved his life. Now he wants to give something back. He says, "We are a team. We have the right attitude that this is what we set out to do and we will finish it together." By Thursday afternoon, the men had collected almost £1,000 in donations. They are hoping for £1,500. And now let's go to Wellington in New Zealand. Because of the still high corona numbers in Australia, New Zealand is suspending the travel corridor with the neighbouring country for another 2 months. The 2 island states agreed in April on a regulation for quarantine-free travel for citizens between the countries. The so-called Trans-Tasman bubble was stopped again in July after Australia reported increasing numbers of cases due to the spread of the Delta variant. New Zealand also recently struggled with an outbreak in the metropolis of Auckland, but has largely brought it back under control. Protecting New Zealand from a possible further spread of the Delta variant is an absolute priority for us, said the Minister for Containing the Corona Pandemic, Chris Hipkins, on Friday. And he said, "Reintroducing quarantine-free travel with Australia at this point could jeopardize our progress." In November, the Wellington government plans to reassess the situation. By then, progress is expected to have been made in the vaccination campaigns, it said. Both countries had long pursued a zero-COVID strategy and largely closed their external borders to international travel. The vaccinations made slow progress for a long time. New Zealand, with a population of 5 million, has the virus under control and has only recorded around 4,000 infections so far. 27 people in the Pacific state have died in connection with COVID-19. In Australia, with its 25 million inhabitants, authorities have confirmed around 80,000 cases and more than 1,100 deaths since the pandemic began. And now let's go to Nassau on the Bahamas. The opposition centre-left party PLP has apparently won the parliamentary elections in the Bahamas. Prime Minister Hubert Minnis of the conservative FNM admitted his defeat and congratulated his opponent Philip Brave Davis, according to a speech that the local media unanimously published on Thursday evening. Minnis said he would lead the FNM into the lower house of parliament as the opposition. The House of Lords, the Senate, so to speak, are appointed by the Governor-General, the representative of the British Queen in the Commonwealth of Nations. In a video for the Nassau Guardian newspaper, Davis, a 70-year-old lawyer, explains that Minnis had just telephoned him to admit his defeat. On Twitter he wrote, "Thank you, Bahamas, let's get to work now." The election on Thursday was thus likely to be the 5th in a row in the Bahamas in which there was a change of power. There were initially no official results. Tourism, which is important for the Caribbean country, collapsed in the corona pandemic, of course. Most recently, the Bahamas experienced high numbers of infections. 2 years ago, Hurricane Dorian, one of the strongest Atlantic storms ever, devastated parts of the Bahamas. And now let's go to Villach in Austria. In the midst of the global chip crisis, the semiconductor company Infineon opened its newest plant in Villach in Austria on Friday. The €1.6 billion factory had its official start of production in the early afternoon. However, production began in August. The factory was completed around 3 months faster than planned. Infineon announced that the acceleration at the beginning of the year in response to the global chip shortage and high demand. Infineon manufactures power semiconductors in Villach. The production is fully automated. Nevertheless, around 400 new jobs are to be created. EU Commissioner Thierry Breton and Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz were expected at the opening. And now we have to go to Beijing in China. 3 Chinese astronauts have started their return journey to Earth from China's space station under construction. As the Chinese state media reported on Thursday, the spaceship Shenzhou 12, Shenzhou means magic ship in English, with the spacemen Nie Haisheng, Liu Boming and Tang Hongbo on board, undocked from the core module Tianye of the new station. The state broadcaster CCTV spoke from the last day before the official landing mission, which has indicated that the astronauts would return to Earth and are supposed to have arrived yesterday, but I don't know that yet. The capsule is supposed to touch down in Inner Mongolia and northern China. A search and rescue team was ready already on Thursday. However, no time has yet been officially announced for the return, and when I'm filming this, I can't confirm the return at all. The Chinese astronauts spent around 3 months in space, China's longest manned space mission today. The launch of a rocket with additional cargo for the new station was prepared on Thursday at the Wenchang spaceport of the southern Chinese island of Hainan. Afterwards, a new crew is to be flown to the space station in the next few weeks, which should be ready by the end of 2022. And now we just go to Hamburg in Germany. Because of the restrictions due to the corona pandemic, seafarers often have to forego shore leave during their deployment and accept significantly longer journey times. Some shipping companies forbid ship crews to go ashore for fear that they will bring the coronavirus on board, says the German Verdi Union Secretary Susanna Ventura. This is not acceptable and legally questionable, she says. In other cases, there are countries that refused entry even in medical emergencies. To make matters worse, because of the pandemic, the seafarers stayed on board longer than contractually agreed because the crew change did not work in time. In many countries, there are travel restrictions for seafarers due to their nationalities, says Bianca Frömming, Vice President of the Association of German Captains and Ship Officers. It's much easier for a German sailor to travel than for an Indian, she says. And now let's go to Moscow in Russia. Russia's opposition warned against systematic electoral fraud at the start of the parliamentary elections. Above all, the new option of electronic voting is an outrageous measure, said Kira Yamish, the spokeswoman for the detained Kremlin opponent Alexei Navalny, and she said that to the German press agency. And she said, "You cast your vote, but there's absolutely no way to check how it is counted and whether it is changed," criticized the 31-year-old. In the end, they can say any number that cannot be verified. It's just trickery. For 3 days, up to and including Sunday, those eligible to vote in the largest country in the world are called upon to appoint the new 450 members of the State Duma. For the first time, it's also possible to vote electronically in some regions of Russia. Navalny's supporters were not even accepted as candidates. The 45-year-old's organizations have been classified as extremist in Russia and have thus, in fact, been banned. Navalny's spokeswoman was still combative. "As far as our influence on the elections is concerned, our options have not shrunk at all," said Yamish. She referred to the specially developed protest voting procedure of the so-called smart vote. The procedure, which is also controversial among opposition members, stipulates that voters should vote for any candidate except that of the Kremlin party, and that is United Russia. In this way, their monopoly of power is to be broken. The website of the Smart Vote was blocked by the Russian authorities before the start of the election. The search engines Google and Yandex were asked not to display the term smart voting in search results. Navalny's supporters are committed to reaching those eligible to vote via apps and YouTube. And now let's go to Tórshavn on the Faroe Islands. After a dolphin hunt on the Faroe Islands with more than 1,400 animals killed, the government there wants to put the practice to the test. The situation during the hunt last Sunday was exceptional because of the considerable size of the cornered dolphin school, wrote Prime Minister Bardur Asteig Nielsen in a message on the government website on Thursday. Nonetheless, the process raises questions about the number of dolphins that should be killed in a single hunt and the methods of hunting. The hunt for marine mammals is called grindadrap and has been practiced for centuries on the largely autonomous islands in the North Atlantic, which are part of the Danish kingdom. According to Faroe census, a total of 576 pilot whales and 35 white-sided dolphins were killed in 2020. The number of over 1,400 dolphins killed is therefore exceptionally high. The hunt for white-sided dolphins is not as rooted in the tradition of the Faroe Islands as the hunt for pilot whales and does not have the same cultural legitimacy, said the head of government. He added, "We take this matter very seriously. Although these hunts are considered sustainable, we will take a very close look at the dolphin hunts and what place they should play in Faroe Island society." And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.